my goodness. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Let me be real clear really fast. I'm not going to take too much of your time, and it's not because you are not important, it's because I have ADD. And so I don't pay attention. And I know that at some point you're going to stop paying attention. And so I like to jump in, get to the point, and hopefully there is something that you can take away about yourself as a leader, not about me, about yourself, that will help you as we continue this leadership journey, because it is quite a journey. I first want to do a couple of things and get some things out the way. First thing is thank Mike. He is a natural born leader because he spotted me in the parking lot and led me in, and I trusted him enough to follow him. Thank you, Mike. The second thing is leaders aren't perfect, so we're not going to even act like we are. My sub headline is, let them see you sweat, just don't stink, all right? Don't stink. Don't stink up the place. In other words, prepare for perspiration when you are in the moment. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to not get it right, make a bad call, all of those things. But don't stink up the place. Gather your team. Admit your flaws. Admit we don't know the answer all the time. It's okay. But my big headline is the smile behind the mask. And we're all smiling behind our mask. Right? Yes? No? Maybe so? Okay. All right. A couple of things that weren't in my bio that's important is I just got married. So I have a blended family. Those 4 kids did not all come out of this womb. Let me put that out there. I have 2. He had 2. I had been a single parent for 8 years and trying to be a leader and trying to conquer the world and trying to raise 2 fabulous kids. I now have 4 teenagers in my house and a husband that has no idea what he's gotten himself into. None. But I thank God for him, and I thank God that he brought him into my life, because I wasn't looking, because I thought I could conquer the world by myself, and that was my destiny, was to be mother of the year and leader of the year and single parent poster child. And God said, now I have something different for you. You need to submit a little bit. You need to humble yourself, and you need to lead from behind. And so I'm so glad that he brought Marvin into my life, because Marvin is a leader that allows my light to shine bright behind him. And I appreciate that about him. And so I had to give him a little, pay a little honor to him, because he keeps me smiling. All right, so here we go. I heard the introductions, and here's the beauty of it. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, because each of you stood up and said something that was already in this PowerPoint. All right, so you don't have to take notes on any of that. But I thought this was very interesting. And I do have my cell phone, and it's not to be rude, it's to time myself and keep myself honest, because some of you will be polite and let me go on and on and on and not say anything. And I know that. And so what I am doing is holding myself responsible and accountable for your time. Because the one thing I can gather from this and tell you in all truth and honesty is time is something you will never get back. So I am taking up something you will never have the opportunity to have back. I appreciate that. I am humbled by that sincerely from my heart. This is intriguing for me. When I was coming up with what I wanted to share with you, I thought about, honestly, how hard 2020 has been. And I thought about, all the chaos and the hatred and the division and the we're lonely and isolated, and we can't get out, and we can't spend time with people, and everything that we thought we knew how to do and we had a plan for has all gotten shuffled and chaotic and in disarray, and we've had to make plan A's and plan B's and plan for surges and plan for keeping up operations and how to cut back, how to keep our team members engaged, how to keep them resilient. Burnout is happening. It's a lot of things. I started to Google the top trending hashtags for 2020. And it was none of those things. It was those things. This is what's trending. Hashtag love. That was surprising. Because a lot of times we see the world through our lenses. And it's filtered through our experiences and how we feel that day, that moment, that hour, that month. Hashtag Instagood. Good. Hashtag photo of the day. Is there anybody in here that's surprised by that? Those are the top trending hashtags for 2020. Don't believe me, Google it yourself. Y'all just met me. Don't trust me. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, these are the top trending hashtags. So these are also your key takeaways. This is what I want you to remember, is that love is a superpower. Remember that as a leader. And then you also have to remember that good things can happen in an instant. And we as leaders have to learn to capture the moments of our team. We gotta remember that, to capture the moments. So here's my next question for you. What is your superpower? I don't get to do all the talking. I want you to do some of the talking. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about this. If you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be? And I am going to ask a couple of brave souls to share. What would it be and why? If you could have any superpower. Anybody?
Time travel.
Time travel. Why?
I like the car. No, I'm just kidding. Basically, to be able to learn from your mistakes and come back and do it right the first time.
I like that. Interesting. Thank you. Go ahead.
Heal as a massage therapist. You're helping to heal people, but I wish I had that
Power to heal.
power to just touch people and whatever their body's going through, they're aching.
Oh, wow.
Just make them heal immediately instead of through some massage sessions.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Two more. Yes.
Ability to teleport.
Teleport. Interesting, and why?
Because I got kids and grandkids and a husband and dogs and grandma and mama and daddy and my brothers and everybody's all over and I just want to go.
Go. Teleportation. I like that. One more. Give me one more. Yes.
Reading people's minds.
Reading people's minds. Why?
I always want to know what the other person is thinking because I feed off of it.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, interesting and true story, and I'm glad the last two shared because you're spot on. So in 2019, we were interviewing, we were going through some interviews for a group of candidates, and I always have this signature question as one of my questions to a person that I'm interviewing. That same exact question: if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? In 2019, I kid you not, 100% of the 10 people that I interviewed said teleport. 100%. It was the most fascinating thing I had ever heard in 2019. I was so intrigued by this that I did this. I asked my kids the same question. So I have Chase and I have Bree. Chase is a 15-year-old football jock that thinks he's Odell Beckham, hot, the dreads with the blonde tips, all of that, walking around with his shirt off, all obnoxious at this point, getting some pecs. And then Bree is what I call my mini-me, Tina 2.0 version. I think I got it now. This kid's got it at 11 years old. She's some kind of engineer. She'll need a job. So, no, she'll run your company is what she'll do, she'll attempt to do. But she's got it together, completely disciplined. Start 2 separate times. I separated them. I went home. Bree, if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be? Teleportation. Why? Because I could get there faster. I wouldn't have to wait. It was the insta. Yeah, no wasting time. Gotta get there. Chase, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? I think I would like to be teleportation. Why? So I could get there fast, Mama. We don't have to wait. Fascinating concept. So fascinating, I did it again this year. 10 candidates. If you can have a superpower, what would it be? reading people's minds. 100%. All 10 candidates. Why? Because I want to know what people are really thinking. Not what they're telling me. What are their hearts saying? What's motive? What's intent? What are they really thinking? Ladies and gentlemen, that tells you something about expectations people have from us. And not just leaders in relationships. We got to be fast and we got to be authentic. Just a short story. I had to share that because I think that's amazing. And I'm going somewhere with that. So here we are. #love. As leaders, if I could give any tips, I would say that leaders are, and I heard it, I heard patient, I heard kind, and I heard motivating. Or team, the power of team is what I think I heard. And so when we lead through, especially in times of chaos, especially when it's extremely difficult, I think it's important that as leaders we tap into patience, and we tap into kindness, and we tap into how we continue to motivate our team. And let me tell you why. Because in leadership, somebody said ever changing. It is extremely difficult and uncomfortable when we as leaders bear the burden of feeling like we're carrying the team. We have to carry the team, the operations and finances, the actual happiness of the team and execution and all these goals that we have to hit. It's hard to love when you don't feel like loving. It's hard to love when you don't feel like your team is exactly loving you back or doing their part, or they're not comprehending what you're trying to say or what you're trying to get out of them. It's hard to motivate, but it's just as hard for the team members to attempt to execute when their best leader, the best version of their leader, doesn't show up that day or in that moment. And let me tell you, I like to be vulnerable. Look, and I don't know if I'll ever see some of you again, so let me share some bad stories about myself. I've been a bad leader. The best version of me at times, and I can account for one time in particular, didn't show up during the pandemic. I had one of my team members ask for some support and some help, and we were busy, and I was tired. And I felt like I had nothing else to pour out and nothing else to give. So in an email, I rattled off some instructions, but I also rattled off my expectations of that person being able to pull their weight and make their decisions on their own because they had enough experience. And I'll never forget, because one thing I love for my team to do is to challenge me and call me in. Don't call people out, call them in. Never call people out. You can have that one. Write that down. Y'all can have that. And I'm not going to charge for it. Don't call people out. Call them in. Engage. Everybody lean in. Everybody lean in. Love harder, listen harder, even when you don't want to. She called me in, and she said, Tina, let's talk about this email, and let's talk about the tone, and let's talk about the motive. Did you intend to hurt me? I read the email aloud. I did. I read it aloud. There was no way I could put those words on that paper and press send without the intention to hurt and not help. The best version of me didn't show up. And I owe her better than that. So I apologized. I told her I was wrong. And I asked her to let's talk and let's engage about a better way that I could have engaged. And I asked her to call me in again if I ever do that. Every time I do that, call me in. Because that's what great leaders do. Sometimes our best version just doesn't show up. And we owe that to our team. All right, so love is a superpower. It's hard, it's uncomfortable, and all of us don't have it. And a little love goes a long way. So these are the things. Okay, now look, here again, these aren't things that you don't know, but if you're not like the touchy-feely kind of, we got to be disciplined about things that help people connect, help you connect with your people. So one thing I do is I consistently, weekly, especially my team is now all remote. They were all on site, they're all remote now. And so I consistently find ways to connect with them all the time. We're connecting. The other thing I do is I write a lot of love notes. I do about anything, random stuff, random thoughts. They popped in my head. I thought about something they did that was wonderful. I send it to their houses. I put little coffee cards in there or tell them I'm thinking about them. I do. They have to know that I'm thinking about them even when we're not able to see each other and gather and be around each other. And we may go 4 days because they're in their worlds and I'm in my world, but they need to know that I'm thinking about them and I miss them. And I'm so glad that they're a part of the team. Acknowledge their achievements, good and bad. Give feedback. This is important because this is where we get hung up as leaders, is we don't like to give, we're not good with consistently giving good feedback, and then we hate to give bad feedback. But let me give you a simple acronym to help you with that. It's STAR feedback. Address the situation, address the task, address the action, and address the result. Situation or task, action, result. Here's an example. Mike, I'm so glad you met me at the front door. Because you met me at the front door and showed me where to go, I was not late to this speaking engagement. That's feedback. Simple feedback. There was the situation, the task, what he did, and here's the result. Now let's pretend that Mike showed me the wrong way. Let's do that. Let's do it a little different. It's a pretend scenario. Mike, gosh, when we met earlier today and you greeted me and said you knew where we were and where to go, you actually went through the wrong door, resulting in us having to walk all the way around the building, and therefore I was 5 minutes late. Bad feedback, but I addressed everything. Now, here's the other part. Give Mike an alternative to that. I'm giving that bad feedback, so it doesn't stop there. Mike, had we both looked at the map and saw where we needed to enter, we would have gone in the right direction the first time, and both of us would have been there on time. So you don't leave it there. Don't just tear him apart. Give him an alternative action and show him an alternative result of what would have happened. Does that make sense? STAR feedback. Real easy. And let me tell you something about millennials. That's all they want. They want it consistently. They want it more often than we want to give it. Okay? They want to hear how they're doing in real time. Feedback needs to be timely and specific. So talk to them. Tell them how they're doing. Invest and develop your team. Always grow. I heard continuous learner as leaders. Man, I never stop. I'm always reading something, always listening to podcasts, I'm always engaging. I love to be around diverse minds. I really do. I like to hear from people that think differently than me. I like to hear ideas. I'm a brainstormer. I want to give you my perspective and listen to your perspective. But always invest in your team. That doesn't always look like a class and a certification. On-the-job training is 70% of this. Stretching people, making them uncomfortable. I heard that word, right? Stretch projects. Stretch them a little. And understand what it is they want to do and how you as a leader can help them get there. Another tip, you can have this one for free. Meet people where they are and take them where they want to go. Meet people where they are, not where you are. You get out your comfort zone and go to them. And then take them where they want to go. Their best potential. Not your idea of what they can be when they grow up. What do they want to be? And how can we as leaders help people get there, propel them? And so, over-communicate. We learned this during the pandemic. We didn't communicate enough. Over-communicate. Vomit on people. Tell them everything. Allow dialogue. Let them ask questions. Over-communicate as a leader. That mind-reading thing, yeah, people have questions. So over-communicate. Make yourself available in multiple formats, whether that's email, text message, face-to-face, virtual meetings, whatever. Over-communicate. I always ask my team, what more can I clarify for you? What questions may you have of me? Always. All right. And last but not least, motivate your team. Love is patient, love is kind. I spend a lot of time on love because it's hard. I know, I just got married. And it's hard, right? Y'all, and I'm being transparent with y'all, I've been single for 8 years. The idea of sharing a closet is not exactly positive for me. It's just not, right? Because I've had my own closet, and I didn't have, like I have a his and her, but I also, it was really my spring, summer, and then fall, winter closets is what it was. And so sharing, I have some work to do, but God is still working on me. I'm not there yet. Motivate your team. So I spend a lot of time on love because it's just the hardest part. It's the hardest muscle to flex because we don't feel like it. We're tired. We're burnt out. We're over it. We're over the mask. We're over the isolation. We're over it. But we got to love anyway. And we got to love harder. And you got to love people that may not love you in return. It's okay. Love anyway. Hashtag love. All right. Good in an instant. The insta good. That's my second hashtag. This is my recipe, though, for leadership. And it's real simple. It's nothing you don't know. A is authenticity. Be real. Let me tell you why. Because this year, 2020, is the year that everybody wants to read minds. They sniffing us out. They will sniff out if you are not genuine and superficial like nobody's business. So it's important to just be real. It is what it is. There's no way to get around it. Humility, I heard it, be a servant leader. I heard someone say it's important to serve. Yeah, that's what we're here to do. That's what leaders do. We serve. We pour out. There are days where we just want to be filled back up because our cup is empty. And we have to figure out when those days are. And we have to also figure out what we need to fill back up. That's important as a leader. So take care of yourself. Honesty, we talked about specific and timely feedback. Clarity, as Brene Brown says, clear is kind. Clear is kind, y'all. You have to be clear about what your expectations are. You're doing your team a favor when you're clear about what your expectations are, when they're meeting expectations, when they're exceeding expectations, and when they're not quite meeting the mark. And you can use that STAR feedback to help explain some of that. So that's very important. And then last but not least, the hashtag photo of the day, capture the moment. This is about reward and recognition. We can't forget about that in these times of weirdness. Just when you think 2020 can't get any more weird, we can't forget about the team, what makes them feel special, how they like to be rewarded, and then we have to actually do that. And that may come in the form of a thank you note. That may come in the form of sending out a blast email about something that they accomplished. It may come in the form of a text message that just says, I am so proud of what you did today. You did excellent. Let me tell you what I noticed about how you executed that. And then you have to turn their losses into teaching moments. Even I reward for losses. When they don't quite hit the mark, I still reward for that. Because I turn that into a teaching moment. Let's debrief. Let's take 5. Let's understand what we did and how we could have done that better as a team. And do you mind teaching about that? Do you mind telling your peers about that? Is that okay if we share that as a case study? And so that we can all learn from that. And then sometimes it's, you know what, I would have done that too. I would have done it too. But let's talk about other ways that we could have done it differently to achieve a different outcome. That's okay to use losses as teaching moments. And be spontaneous. I remember on a Zoom call, one of the things that I sent out 10 minutes before the Zoom call was to take a picture of your comfy spot in your home, because everybody was working remote, and then we'll use that as your backdrop. And so we were all distracted the entire meeting looking at everybody's comfy spot. And it's okay. Whole meeting went downhill. Nothing happened, nothing productive. But it was okay. They had fun. And it was spontaneous. And we were all distracted. And it's cool. And it really worked for my ADD. Let me just tell you that. So there was some parts of that was self-serving. Okay. Enough about me. Enough about this leadership stuff. Let me tell you something about being a leader. 80% of being a leader is being self-aware and how you show up every day. 80%.